Hey, hey, hey. Hello, hello. Happy Friday. We are live. We are live. Back for another Q&A session today. I am excited to do another one of these. So if you were around last week or you caught the replay, I did a Q&A session where I answered questions that came in from people this week around career and leadership development. And so I am doing another one of these today. So as I share, as I answer the questions, do feel free to type in the chat if you have a question. I am going to be collating questions that come in through conversations that I have with people, through interactions with podcast guests, and also through clients. And then I will be coming on periodically to do these live Q&A sessions, because I think if topics are coming up for one person, it's likely that there's someone else out there who has a similar question. And so today I'm going to be diving into some questions that came up around just leadership and navigating the workplace in different scenarios. Before I dive in, if this is the first time that you are catching one of my lives, my name is Janine Esbrand and I am the founder of Career Changemakers, where we're really focused on helping new and emerging leaders to grow in confidence, influence, and impact. And I am just personally passionate about making sure that people are fully equipped to deliver in the roles that they are aspiring to be in or that they find themselves in. So I support people through speaking, through executive coaching, through podcasting, through programming, lots of different ways. So that's me in a nutshell. And I am, looking forward to doing this live. I used to do live streams on a regular cadence, and now I'm like, after last week, I'm like, yes, let's do this more often. So make sure that you're following, that you click the bell if you're on LinkedIn, that you follow along on Instagram, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. So we're streaming in different places. So if you see me looking, it's because we're streaming in different places. So few questions I want to answer today. I'm going to answer 4, and then if there's any that come in, I might tackle those as well. As I'm speaking, if anything that I'm saying is resonating with you, type in the chat. If you're liking what I'm bringing in this live stream, then give us some thumbs up, some interaction. Even if you're catching this on the replay, I'd love to know where you're joining in from. Okay, so let's kick off, and I'm going to start the first question. I'm just looking up here. I have the list of questions. So the first was from somebody that I was speaking to that was sharing that they were feeling very overwhelmed. So this person is a new leader. They have recently been promoted into this role that they're in, and they are excited and they want to do well, but they're feeling overwhelmed because they have a lot of things that they need to do, that they need to manage, that they need to progress. And then they're also mindful that they're now managing other people. So it's like, how do I manage all of the things that I need to get done that on my to-do list, and then also be a good manager to other people? And I really like this question because it comes up a lot. It comes up a lot in the coaching work that I do with clients. It comes up a lot when people are really going through that transition period, because oftentimes you may have a goal or desire to get promoted into a more senior position, and you work towards that goal and you are focused on that goal, and the focus very much is on proving yourself, on doing the right things so that you can get noticed enough so that you can get that promotion, or that you can position yourself so that you can land that opportunity. But what happens when you land the position and you actually are doing the work that you have been striving to do is that the journey begins. The journey begins, and it's a new journey. So up to this point, it was, I need to do the things that I need to do so that I can secure this position. Once you're in the position, now it's, I need to do the things that I need to do so that I can do well in this position. And sometimes that transition can feel very like it's kind of like like a shock to the system, in terms of, this is where I was before and what I was doing before, and then this is what I'm doing now, and this is what the expectation is. So the first thing that I would say is, it's really important for you to give yourself time and space to really embrace the transition period, and know that you're not going to be where you want to be on day one. And then the other thing is for you to really hone the skills around prioritization and delegation. prioritization and delegation. There is always going to be more for you to do. There's going to be so much on your plate at times. And so having the ability to really take a step back and a moment and say, okay, of all the things that are on my to-do list, what do I actually need to prioritize that is going to drive things forward towards the priority goals that we have? Because it may seem that everything is important, it may seem that everything's a priority, but everything isn't a priority if you are clear on what the goals are. So what is the goal for this month? What is the goal for this quarter? What are the strategic objectives we're working towards? There's going to be lots of tasks that come up, but you want to prioritize the things that are driving towards the goal that you're working towards. So really getting into a habit of prioritization. And one of the tools that you may or may not be familiar with that really helps with this is like the Eisenhower matrix, where it helps you to look at what is urgent and important, what is urgent but not important, what is not urgent but important, what is not, I'm looking at the matrix right now, not urgent and not important, and really having it in quadrants and helping you to categorize the different things that you need to do. Because what can often happen is if you only focus on the things that are urgent and important all of the time, you're going to be forever in a state of fighting fires, right? Always fighting fires, because you're going to allow the important things that weren't urgent to become urgent because you haven't focused on them when they were further away, right? If you are only focused on the things that you have to get done right now, you're leaving the things that need to get done soon until they need to get done right now. So going through and having a matrix like this allows you to have your eye on what is coming down the pipeline that I do need to pay attention to, and then figuring out when am I going to do those things. So prioritization is one. When you are doing that prioritization and you realize that there are some things on your plate that they're not really urgent, like they're not that important, but they do need to get done, or things that they're important, but they're not things that you need to do, that's when you're really looking at delegation. That's when you're looking at, okay, who else can I get to do this? Who in my team should actually be doing this? Who should I be training and developing to do this task? And I will say, when it comes to delegation, particularly as a new leader, there is often reluctance amongst the people that I work with, because it feels like you don't have time for this. Like you've got all of these things to do, you've got all of these tasks to get done. And the thought of having to sit down and train somebody else or help somebody else to understand what is required so they can do it, it feels like it's a waste of time. It feels like it's taking away from what you need to get done. But the actual reality is that you're slowing down so that you can speed up. You're slowing down to delegate to this person. You're slowing down to allow this person to help you, so that in the long run, you have more capacity. So if you're a leader and you're just saying, do you know what, I'm just going to do it myself. I'm just going to do it myself. If you continue to just do it yourself, then you're never going to be in a position where you're freeing up capacity, number one, and two, where you're allowing the people around you to really step up and do the things that they can do and that they're capable of doing. You just need to give them the opportunity. So prioritization, delegation, those are the two keys. If you are feeling overwhelmed, I encourage you, pause, take some time to reflect. Am I really prioritizing what is the most important things that need to be done right now? And then am I delegating where I can be delegating? Okay, so that's the first question that we have. And let me know in the chat, is this something that you resonate with? Are you somebody who feels overwhelmed by the extent of your workload? Are you someone who has struggled with figuring out, how am I going to get all these things done by the deadline? Let me know in the chat and put it down, right? Because it's good to know, like for other people to see that they're not alone if they are feeling that way. Okay, so that was our first question I wanted to answer. The second one, this came up in a coaching call that I had earlier this week on a group session, and the person mentioned that in their organization they're feeling a bit stuck because they have worked their way up. They are in quite a senior role, but there are more senior people above them, and they feel as though there's nowhere to go. Right, they feel like there's nowhere to go. So if you're in an organization and the structure is such that after the level that you're at, there is maybe one or two levels above, and the person who's in those level at that level isn't likely to leave anytime soon, it can feel like, okay, well, I'm here, there's nowhere for me to go. I love working within this organization, I'm happy here, but I'm also a very ambitious person, and I don't know what my next step would be, or I don't know where I would go next, or how I would, like, how do I continue my career progression when there doesn't seem to be opportunity for me to grow within this organization? So, you know, in answer to this question, the obvious answer is like, well, that means I need to go and look for a role elsewhere. And that may or may not be the answer, right? It may be that you have outgrown the organization that you're in and that you can go elsewhere. But I would also encourage you to consider, when you're thinking about there's nowhere to go, are you only thinking in terms of title? Are you saying, okay, well, I'm now a director and I want to be a VP. And so because the VP role is not available here, I need to go somewhere else. And the reason why I say it's important for you to think about the title is because a title is not the same, or doesn't hold the same weight, or doesn't mean the same thing in every organization. So I could be a manager in this organization and the scope of my role is very different from a manager in another organization. So when you are saying there isn't anywhere for you to go and you're just looking at titles, it may feel as though, yeah, I've done everything I can do here. I'm looking at this ladder and I've been climbing the ladder and I've got to this point and there's nowhere else to go. But the thing I want you to think about, and that I would have you consider, is what about the scope of the role? What about the scope of the role and what I have been doing in this role? When I say there's nowhere for me to go and I'm just thinking about title, I may be missing the fact that there's room to grow in the role in terms of the type of tasks that you're doing, what you're exposed to, your skill level, where you've been challenged, what has or hasn't been developed. So if you think about beyond just the title, what are your personal professional development goals? What are some of the things that you know as an individual you want to work on as a skill set? Where is it that you can be growing? And is there opportunity within this role, within the scope of this role, to pursue that? So whilst you're here, what else can you be getting out of this opportunity in terms of your skill set? What else can you be giving to this opportunity in terms of your skill set? So if you're thinking that you are stuck and you're only thinking about title, I would encourage you to think about, what else can I be doing to grow here, right? Because there may be opportunity for you to start something new. There may be an initiative that you can push, or that you can introduce, that isn't necessarily like you getting a new title, but it is you expanding the scope of what you're able to do. It is you stretching yourself, right? So that is what I would encourage you to do. If you're not in a position where you're like, yeah, I'm ready to get out of this place and like I need to leave right now, think about, what else can I do while I'm here? What else can I do? And be creative with it. You're not always waiting for someone else to come to you and say, oh, I think it would be good for you to do this or that. Like, what do you think? What do you think would be helpful for you, beneficial for you to pursue and to do? And that's what I would encourage at this point. Next question is, I'm having a hard time, and this came up with somebody who is in a team where they're working towards a really big project, and there's a team and then there's a sub team, or there's two sub teams, and they're having a hard time getting certain people within the team to do the things that are needed to hit a deadline and in order to drive a project forward. And I think this question really comes down to influencing people. And sometimes it's challenging, sometimes it's hard when you're working with people that feel difficult. Like, it feels like, you know, when you're just like, why do they have to be so difficult though? Why? And often in these circumstances, people will say things like, oh, like, I don't get it. I wouldn't do that. Like, I don't understand why that person's doing that. I wouldn't do that. And yes, sometimes people do things in a way that you would never consider to do it. People do things that you would never do, or that you say you never do. But we have to recognize that people are coming from a very different perspective, background, experience, all the things that make you you. This other person is coming from a different vantage point. So when we're thinking about the fact that there's frustration there, I want to get this stuff done, we know we need to drive this forward, this person is not giving me what I need, they're not providing the information, they're not taking the action, take a step back from what you're asking for and really look at the bigger picture in terms of motivations. What is this person motivated by? And when we think about motivation, sometimes it can be like, well, we're all supposed to be working towards a goal. We're all supposed to be in this team and we're all working together and trying to get something done. So like this person should be motivated to get the job done in the same way that I'm motivated to get the job done. But we also have to consider beyond the work motivation, what is the personal motivation? What is the person personally moving towards? Are they somebody who's looking to get a promotion? Are they somebody who's looking to get recognized within the firm? Are they somebody who wants to demonstrate that they have expertise and understanding? Because if you can get to the root of the motivations, then you're in a better position to understand how you go about communicating with this person, what it is that you share with this person to get them on side. So really we're coming down to like psychology and really thinking about how different people operate, why people make the decisions that they make, and allowing that to influence your strategy when it comes to trying to get people on board. My number one thing that I share all the time when we are working with organizations in terms of rolling out programming is we need to get buy-in. And we can create the best we can create the best professional or leadership development program that there is. But if the people that are supposed to go through the program are not showing up, are not coming to the calls, are not doing the work, like what's the point? What's the point? Because we're not going to get the impact that we want at the end of it. We're not going to get the outcome. So it's really important when you're doing programming or anything that you focus, yes, on the thing that you want to deliver, but also on the buy-in piece. How do we get the buy-in from the people that are to participate in this program, right? We're not going to get the results if we don't get the buy-in. And so when we are planning out programming, that's a really big piece at the beginning stages when we work with organizations to be like, okay, who is going through the program, and like, let's meet them, let's understand them, let's understand what's going on so that we can make sure that people are fully engaged. And I think when you are facing challenges in the workplace in terms of team dynamics, you really thinking about what is the motivation of this person, what are some of the things that are top of mind for them, what are they trying to achieve, that's helpful for you in terms of how you're framing your interactions with them. Okay, because sometimes we can just go on a one track and just be like, I told you this, or I asked you this, why didn't you do it? It's like, do you know like what else is going on with them? Maybe ask, maybe find out, maybe build up some rapport before we just go down the hard line of like just, you know, badgering people or feeling like you're repeating yourself. If that's not working, then we got to try something else. So I hope that's helpful for you. Just really think about motivations and like personal motivations of people, and then how you can get them on board. And that is really a key part of influencing others. Hey, Brittany. I am going to answer one last question, and that one was around speaking up in meetings. Somebody just saying that in certain situations, in certain meetings, and like certain settings, they find it difficult to speak up, and they might have the answer in their head. They may know what it is that they want to say, but they don't say it. And then it's, you know, the most annoying thing when you had something that you were going to say and then someone else swoops in and says the same thing, and you're like, I was going to say that and my point was valid, but I was questioning myself around whether or not I should or shouldn't say this thing. So I think when it comes to your having the difficulty in speaking up, oftentimes we go straight to trying to will ourselves to do the thing, right? So it's like, okay, next meeting, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. But what I have found for myself and also with clients that I work with is if you are reluctant to do something and you can find yourself procrastinating and you know that you're not doing it, but you want to do it, there's something going on beneath the surface. So it's not enough to just say, okay, I'm going to do it next time, like just push myself to do it. What you need to do is really uncover what are some of the thoughts that you're having or the beliefs that you're holding that are holding you back from speaking up. So for example, the thought that you might have is, like, I don't know enough. I don't know enough, and whatever I'm going to say might be wrong. Or I don't know if they're going to think this about me. I'm worried about what people are going to think. And because you're worried about what people are going to think, you then don't say the thing that you want to say. And because you don't say the thing that you want to say, you're then frustrated with yourself that you didn't contribute. So instead of just saying, okay, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do it next time, really think about what is holding me back. And then you can tackle that thought and you can be like, okay, I'm worried about what people are going to think. Okay, what might they think? Like, what is the worst case scenario? Like, really play out the thought. Like, where does that take me? And sometimes when you think about what's the worst case scenario, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And then you're able to reframe the thought like, oh, okay, yeah, I might share and people might have a perspective on me, but at least they have a perspective in terms of me being somebody who will speak my mind and me being someone who will take up space. Is that something that I want them to think about me? Yes. So therefore, I'm going to do it. So there's a lot of work, and this is like I could speak for ages on the relationship between the beliefs that you have, the thoughts that you have, and then ultimately the action that you take, and the internal scripts that we have playing in our minds that can really cause us to hold ourselves back. But ultimately, on the face of it, for this question, I would say if you're not speaking up, firstly, pay attention to when, like what are the circumstances, who's in the room, what type of meetings is it that you are feeling reluctant, and then you're asking yourself the why. What is it about this environment, this circumstance that's causing me to feel the resistance? And then from there, you can do some work around working through some of those thoughts. And that's what's really helpful when you're working through that type of stuff with a third party, whether that is like a mentor or a coach, because they can help you to see the blind spots and see how you are thinking. Because sometimes we can get stuck in like, I'm thinking the same way. So it's hard to see a different perspective. So yeah, that's what I would say about that. So that was my last question. I'm just going to have a quick look and see if there's any other questions that have come in from anybody else before we wrap up. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions for right now. But if, as you're watching this on the replay, you're like, oh, I like what has been shared here, and I have a specific question for my situation, my circumstance, feel free to type them in the comments below or send me a DM. We're going to be doing more of these live Q&A sessions here live on LinkedIn, and then also on my podcast, the Career Changemaker podcast. And I want to answer as many questions as I can for people, because I know for a lot of us, this is a challenging season when it comes to the world of work. And so if I can answer some questions and I can support you in any way, I'd love, love, love to do that. If you are not on our mailing list, I would encourage you to join. Go to careerchangemakers.com/career navigator. I will put that in the chat. And just join our list, because we share details about the podcast, about upcoming things that are going on in our world, ways that we can support. And so let me just type it, trying to speak and at the same time. Can multitask, but it's always good to multitask, you know. After that. Okay, yeah. So if you go there, and then you'll be able to sign up to our mailing list, and you will get notified when we are doing fun and exciting things that are helpful. And if you are a new or emerging leader and you are looking for some support with navigating the transition, then do reach out, send me a DM. We have something exciting coming up that I am planning that I would love to share with you. I really do think that there is a gap where there isn't enough support given to people who are new to leadership. And it makes such a difference, not only to the leader, but also those that they lead, if people are equipped with the right tools, understanding of themselves and of what it is that they need to do so that they can do the best job possible. And so if that is you, if you are in that space, you recently got promoted maybe in the last 3 to 6 months, and you're feeling overwhelmed with the weight of the responsibility, then do reach out to me. We have some resources and I have some programming that could be supportive. All right, I have a call that I need to jump on now. So it is wonderful to speak to you today. Keep a lookout. We're going to be doing more of these live Q&As, so make sure that you are following along, and send me a message if you have a question. I will speak to you very, very soon. Bye.